he can take comfort in the fact that the decision was 4-3, right? It was not a unanimous decision. It was not an easy decision for them.
So I've been mentioning throughout the program, which was the decision of the Colorado Supreme Court to rule Donald Trump illegible to stand for a run in the White House. Because they say he's an insurrectionist because he incited his supporters to storm the Capitol building in January 2021. The former president, in fact, we played a clip at the top of the program, said he was going to appeal the decision and refer it to the US Supreme Court. Now, I hope that we will be joined. You may be thinking he's joining too soon. Is Jack Barlow, who is the Charles A. Dana Professor of Politics at Juniata College. Welcome to the show, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Where is Juniata College?
Juniata College is in central Pennsylvania. The word Juniata is a Native American word, probably a bad French transliteration of a Native American word, but it means people of the standing stone.
Oh, wow. Has it always been called Juniata College, or has it recently been renamed?
No, it's held that name since at least the 1870s.
Oh, good. Well, that's lovely. What a nice, I've never heard of it before. How exciting. Anyway, let's talk about Donald Trump. The obvious point is obviously that this is a state court, so it can be appealed to a federal court, and it will obviously go to the Supreme Court, which is obviously packed with Trump supporters. What do you think is going to happen?
That's a good question. That's the big question before us right now. I mean, the Supreme Court could decide to sidestep the issue, right? They could decide that it is a state matter. The Constitution says that states have substantial control over who is chosen as president, and so therefore the Supreme Court could very well say that this is a state matter and we're not interested in dealing with it. I doubt that, but it's possible.
Can it go straight to the Supreme Court, or does it have to go through an appeals court?
It can go straight to the Supreme Court, right? From a state Supreme Court. Yes, it could go straight to the Supreme Court.
And presumably they could expedite a hearing and a judgment.
They could. They probably won't like it, but they could. They prefer to take things very slowly. They prefer to take things, a step at a time. And they prefer to have things that have been turned over previously by lower federal courts. So it would be unusual, but they certainly have the authority to do that.
I mean, the key here is that this ruling rules out Trump from taking part in the primary, i.e. that's to get the Republican nomination. And there'll be 50 primaries across the US, and he'll probably, I don't want to prejudge it, but it's likely that he'll win the majority of those. So in some ways, he could still be selected as the candidate, regardless of what happens in Colorado. The ruling doesn't affect his ability to run as the presidential candidate once he's been nominated as the Republican candidate. Would there have to be a separate ruling on that by the Colorado Supreme Court?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably, because you're quite correct that this decision only covers the primary election. So, I mean, most likely they would make the same choice for the national election, the fall election, but it's hard to know.
Interesting. So the other interesting thing about this is obviously Trump has, I shouldn't laugh, but he's kind of come out with his usual bombastic stuff about the Democrats trying to steal the election and left-wing judges. But in some ways, he can justify it by saying that all the justices on Colorado's Supreme Court were appointed by Democratic governors. So he's got quite a good narrative to run on this, whether you agree with it or not. I obviously don't. I think the justices are independent, but he's going to run that narrative, isn't he?
Of course he is. And he can take comfort in the fact that the decision was 4-3, right? It was not a unanimous decision. It was not an easy decision for them. So I think that, he can exploit those divisions in whatever ways he or his lawyers can exploit those divisions in whatever ways he chooses.
Brilliant. Well, Jack Barlow, Professor of Politics at Juniata College in West Pennsylvania. Juniata means people of the standing stone. Thank you for coming on the show and talking about the recent Colorado Supreme Court decision to bar Donald Trump from running for the Republican nomination in Colorado.